There's something that, as both a player and a DM, I actually haven't been a part of in this wonderful game of Dungeons and Dragons, and I thought, you know what, that's a perfect thing to talk about today on the vlog. So for the topic of the day, we are going to be discussing downtime activities. Yeah, downtime activities. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, that's never actually come up with the games that I've played, and it hasn't come up yet in the games that I'm running. For the Monday night game that we're streaming on Twitch, that game is it's early days, let's call it. It's early on in the gameplay, and so there hasn't really been an opportunity for downtime activity. There are some things that have happened that we've sort of moved along rather than like actually role-playing out every little detail, but generally speaking, there hasn't been a gap of time where the players would be, or sorry, rather the characters would be sort of left to their own devices. And same thing for my Thursday game. We were finishing out the Princes of the Apocalypse arc, and they were so focused on like, we've got to get this handled, we have to deal with this issue. They just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And so that, of course, didn't allow for any downtime for that group as well. Whereas with that group now, they've completed that arc, and I'm taking a break from the DM's chair. We're going to be switching back to our Lost Minds game, which is fun. So that means that, well, those characters functionally are going to be on downtime. And then when I come back into the DM chair in a couple weeks or months or whatever it ends up being, I want to have an idea ahead of time of like, well, what were those characters doing during the little bit of downtime? And I don't think it's going to be a huge amount of time. It won't be like months or anything like that. It might not even be weeks. It might only be several days. But even so, I still thought this topic is fun to explore together. And that's one of the things I really love, and I've really been using this vlog for, genuinely, is that it's almost like me brainstorming and sharing my thoughts in a format that I hope and I believe is helpful for you, as well as it's helpful for me. It helps me sort of formulate my ideas and get them into a place where I come to some new understandings during this process. And it's so funny because most of the stuff we've been talking about, or I've been talking about, is that things that I have experience with in the game. I've played this game long enough that at one table or another, I've seen this. And when it comes to downtime activities, you know, I've read some stuff about it. I've seen it done in other games, but I've never experienced it myself. None of my characters have ever had a period of downtime in any of the campaigns I've played in. And again, as a DM, I haven't had an opportunity to explore that with my players. So I'm kind of trepidatious and excited at the same time. I'm not going to put a whole lot of time or energy into it during the game sessions. I think this is one of those things that actually is better suited to like what happens out of the game. In fact, that might be a great topic for another vlog here at some point, is like what happens in between game sessions, you know? What goes on behind the scenes in playing these, you know, these great games, these great RPGs, you know? Those are an important aspect of the game, or at least they can be, because a lot of times outside of game, players are going to be talking about what happened in the last session or what's going to happen in the next session. And I view that as, in a certain way, some of the inner dialogue of the characters, right? Of the characters in each game. This, with downtime activities, you know, I think it almost depends on the game you're playing. Because in some game campaigns, it might be kind of meaningless. Like, everything the players needs is readily available. They can just go to a shopkeeper and buy it. Whereas in others, you know, maybe that special magic item isn't available and the party needs to find a way to create it. Or maybe they need to do research. Maybe there's information that they need to gather And rather than role-playing that out during the game, the group decides, no, there's actually going to be a period of time where the characters go and use their own maybe specialties and look for or try to uncover certain information or clues or something like that, right? I mean, those are all valid ways, I think, to use downtime. So I guess what it boils down to me, the way I'm thinking about it right now, is that there's essentially like probably two main uses and maybe a third sort of lesser use of downtime. The first being crafting. Like if somebody in your party is a brewer or a carpenter or a leathersmith or even the bards on a certain level, maybe during their downtime they're going to be crafting. You know, if they're a blacksmith, maybe they want to craft a new set of armor for themselves. Or maybe they're just going to ply their trade so they stay up on their skills, right? So that's the first one. The second one I think would be, how do I want to say it? Like story-based downtime, like something that helps move the plot forward in the bigger picture of the game or the campaign. So that to me are the two primary ways we might use downtime, and then a lesser sort of way to use it would be just like literally like R&R. Like it's realistic to think that the adventurers in a party in a game, you know, adventuring life is stressful and can be literally painful. You're facing death and dismemberment and all these other kind of things. And so maybe one of the actual sort of downtime activities is literally just rest and recuperation. And with that, I would also tie in with rest and recuperation, like leveling up, if we want to call it that. Like practicing their skills, learning their skills, doing the research, reading the tomes, talking with their masters, and like all of those kind of things. In your game, that actually might be one of the primary reasons for downtime. In fact, I know DMs that require downtime in order for characters to advance in levels, which is kind of cool. Again, in certain stories, I think that makes perfect sense and it can really lend to a beautiful element to your campaign. This is super cool. So I'm gonna, once again, as I love to do, I'm gonna rely on you all to share your thoughts, ideas, and your experiences with me. I want to learn, and this is one way I do it. One, by kind of, you know, brainstorming and get ideas out of my mind, but also the feedback I get from you in the comments. I love it. I appreciate it. I do my best to respond to every single comment, and I appreciate that. There. Let's talk about downtime activity. What are your thoughts? Check out this video over here. Stay tuned for more great DnDaily tomorrow. I'm so grateful to you all. Keep rolling 20s, and remember, it's your game. Play your way.